Welcome, welcome. It's the ShopNotes Podcast, episode number 231, where we're only really given 41% today. I'm your host, Phil Huber, joined by Logan and John, as always. And in today's podcast, we're doing a podcast update on what's going to be happening with the future of the ShopNotes Podcast and where it will live on the YouTubes. We're also going to be answering some viewer and listener questions, which is really the lifeblood of what we do around here. If you want to stay tuned for that, we'll get some updates on TV show stuff, some new tool finds, and why it is that Logan meets strangers near freeways to buy old tools. So you want to make sure that you stay listening for that. Thanks to everybody who subscribes to Woodsmith, ShopNotes, and Popular Woodworking. Your subscription dollars are what keep us motivated and allow us to do something like the ShopNotes Podcast. In addition, I want to say thanks to our sponsors. This episode of the ShopNotes Podcast is sponsored by Harvey Industries. Good enough is not good enough. See all of our new tools at harveywoodworking.com. All right. Got a few comments from last couple of episodes here. From last week's episode, Puppy Doc says, Leroy Jethro Gibbs. Love that show. NCIS. The original, not the spin-off crap. And we're all about the originals here on the ShopNotes Podcast. Kevin Thomas says that Mark Harmon on NCIS was using his own tools for those scenes, which I did not know. Did not realize that. So there you go. And so that's kind of cool.
So just and like then, us, Mark Harmon plays a woodworker on TV?
Yes.
I think that's what I got.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe we need to see. I wonder, it would be interesting to know, like, does he still do that? Like,
yeah.
Is he still a woodworker? How much woodworking does he do? Dale Michaels Woodwork says, hey, Phil, any luck on getting the rest of your shop tour series filmed now that it's warmer out? Lots of folk have similar spaces to yours, parentheses. Not shop mansions like Logan's Hall. So it's great to see how you use the space. Harold McDonald says, I quite enjoy hearing about your personal shop exploits. Good update on the doors. What's the latest with Logan's 3D printing endeavors? This was sold to us as something Logan had to do because his son talked him into it. Now we have upgraded to a new fancier printer. Does your son do any printing anymore, or has it become a stay back, daddy's working type situation?
Who was that asked this?
Harold McDonald.
All right, Harold, I got to make sure I'm addressing the right person. So, let's be very clear. I jumped feet first and bought the nicer printer immediately because this man does not half-ass anything other than a finish on a TV show project, as we saw today. No, I had... So, the 3D printer, until this morning, before we started filming the TV show, has been down in my wife's office. Yes, Bob, the office that is unfinished. But I needed to run a couple of things on the 3D printer yesterday for a magazine project that I had to shoot the final photos of. Now, my wife was on a meeting, so I carried it upstairs into our kitchen. And I was running stuff off the 3D printer in the kitchen because she was on a meeting and she didn't want the, happening while she was on her meeting. So, as of this morning, I carried the 3D printer out of the kitchen into the shop. So, it is now currently sitting on my workbench. My plan is to bring it in here into my office. But I don't have a space for it. It doesn't need a lot of space. I just need to put it somewhere. So right now it's just sitting on my workbench. I will bring it into here. But to answer the question whether it's mine or my son's, I was in China a couple of weeks ago, and I'm getting notifications at like 10 o'clock at night. It should be like 10 in the morning here, that my son was running stuff. So I'm like texting him like, why do you keep canceling the printer and stuff? So yeah, he has ran a bunch of stuff. I have ran a bunch of stuff. Looking at the device history, it looks like, I don't know, like 40% of it is his, 60% is mine. So, which is fair because I bought the dang thing. So,
but he still is obviously showing some interest in it.
Oh yes, yeah. So like his interest is more of like other stuff and supplementing it with 3D printing. So it's like, hey Dad, I'm gonna go play Dungeons and Dragons with my friends. Can I run off a bunch of terrain for our dungeon crawl? Like, yeah, go for it, man. Or whatever, stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So,
I mean, because
still going on.
So we all have kids, and we know that they can be fickle in their interest, as we were fickle with the interest when we expressed them to our parents.
And some of us still are. Very self-aware, thank you.
Yes. Right. So anyway, for him to be still interested in it is kind of cool.
Yes. Yeah. Like, he's not designing stuff by any means, but...
Yeah. But, I mean, we all start somewhere, and there's all ways to get into something like that, whether it's just printing out things or starting from ground zero and designing stuff or whatever.
Yep.
Okay. And then to answer the other question about the shop tour, I am planning on filming one in the coming week or two here. Now that it is, yes, warmer out there. I've made some improvements in my shop, and I just kind of have to get the next area cleaned up a little bit better. I mean, I'm all for reality and honesty, but there's also the fact of, like, I can't tell what you're pointing at because of all the junk. So it's an ongoing struggle.
Yeah, you had some visitors the other day to your shop, like right outside the door. Yeah. Or right outside the window. You said that, I'm like, somebody's like, oh yeah, it looks like a big screen TV. I was like, holy crap, it does.
Yeah, I was working at my bench on a couple of gift projects because of it being graduation season here, and had the windows in my shop opened up and was just enjoying the day. And all of a sudden I look up and there are two deer in my backyard just kind of like looking in on me, which was super, super funny. So one of them is a yearling buck. So you can see like two little stub antlers growing out now. And I think the other one was actually the mom, the doe.
Probably.
So I think she
had a deer?
Probably.
Yes, a female deer.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Because I think she ended up having two bucks for fawns last year. Because I think both of them I've seen have little antler sprouts on them, or whatever you call them.
Boy mom.
Yep. So anyway, yes, the videos are still coming. Part of it is that I've also been making some changes to my shop a little bit as I've gone on, and want to make sure that I can reflect those in the videos. But I appreciate people's interest in it. I do love that space, even though I think a lot of woodworkers have angst over their shop space from time to time. But I do love it in spite of the angst I feel sometimes about it. Yeah, there you go. One thing that I want to talk about is that we get it out of the way here close to the top of the podcast before everybody tunes me out, is we are going to be moving the YouTube version of the ShopNotes podcast to its own channel on YouTube. So we'll be on the Woodsmith channel for a little bit longer, but we'll also be going over to what will be called the ShopNotes Podcast. So if you go over to your YouTubes at ShopNotes Podcast, you will find where we're going to be putting the podcast. And I believe our shop updates are going to be moving over there too, if I'm remembering that set of conversations correctly. Part of the reason for that
is... The name would not imply that.
No, the name would not, but it is a shop update. So notes from the shop. I feel like that's all legit.
Okay, I'll buy it.
Okay.
Anyway, primarily the podcast will be over there as a way to collect all the podcasts in one place and also allow the Woodsmith channel to focus on content videos. So that's the reasoning behind that. I think you see that a lot in places with podcasts that have a separate YouTube channel. It's just all part of the YouTube algorithm does this kind of thing, then everybody adjusts to it, and then it does this thing, and then everybody adjusts to it. So this is one of the ways to adjust. So go over to ShopNotes Podcast, make sure you subscribe and bells and all that other stuff.
It kind of feels like getting moved out of the primetime slot to after the 10 o'clock local news.
Right. Yeah.
Like we're getting bumped. Is it like that? Or is it like we've gotten so big that we need to have our very own broadcast? Like we're the Oprah channel. Like Oprah had a show and then she had her own. Maybe so we're so big. Yeah. That's what I thought. Right. That's what I thought. Cool.
Yeah. I would go with it that way.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that's the internal sausage making update of what's going on here at the ShopNotes Podcast. The other thing was Tuesday, we were getting ready to start filming a TV show episode, our second to last one for the season, which is its own minor miracle that we're going to be done filming a TV show season in May instead of, say, August or September. Is pretty impressive. So congrats to everybody here on that. But we didn't get as early start on the video as we thought because all of a sudden somebody pounded on the side door of the studio over there. Open up the door. And Logan says, I don't have my card and I'm carrying stuff. And comes walking in with...
I think I said, hey, you guys want to see what I bought?
That's true. Yes.
Yeah, well, let me quit. It's no secret that I like to buy stupid stuff that I don't need. And when a thing pops up on Facebook Marketplace that just says, old toolbox full of tools, I'm like, don't tempt me with a good time.
I feel like I
met this guy.
I feel like this is like having a white windowless van with free tools spray painted on the side, and then Logan just we never see or hear from him again.
I mean, not gonna argue with this. Yeah. Yeah. So like, this guy had popped up on Facebook Marketplace. He had an old toolbox full of tools. Looking at the photos, I could see what looked like maybe a little plane in there, but it had a handle. So initially I'm thinking, okay, it's probably not, but there's a possibility it's like a Stanley number 2 or number 1, which are the more rare of the Stanley planes. But I could see some panel saws. They looked really nice, and we had Mark from Bad Axe down here last week to do some video. And I could see what looked like the knob of a router plane. And I'm like, okay, like his ASCII price was higher, but not unreasonable. It was a very good price if that had been a Stanley number 1 or 2. So I met the guy at his house, and basically, long story short, the guy does like estate cleanouts, and he had found this. So he's just like, well, we'll sell it. It was not a Stanley number 1 or 2. It was a Stanley number 3. Had pretty decent hardware on it. It had a crack in the cheek, so like the body shot. Kind of like all three of us. Body wasn't worth anything, but the hardware was pretty good. So yeah, Phil's face is perfect. This is why this podcast gets moved to its own channel. And Yeah, so I said, look, I'm not interested at your full asking price. Like, I would have to be in it at, X amount. And he's like, it's yours, take it. So, all right, cool. So the toolbox itself is kind of cool. It is, picture a old style suitcase, like hard-sided suitcase, like one of the carry-around ones. It's about that size, but it opens up kind of as in a third, I guess, like a third section of it drops down, and that's where the saws were. There was a lot of junk in it. There was absolutely a lot of junk. I threw a lot. The only reason I brought it into the studio was so I could throw the stuff away in the garbage that wasn't mine. So we kind of stood there, and together we did an unboxing of this because I didn't really know what all was in it. So at the end of the day, I think the things I kept the Stanley number 3 because it has some good hardware that I'll be able to resell. The body's not worth anything. Had 3 panel saws, one of which is a Distin D8. The other 2, there's like a Simmons and an Atkins that were pretty toasted. Like the plates were fine, but they were pretty kinked and stuff. There was a Stanley router plane with 2 cutters and the shoe attachment, but no shoe, which was kind of weird. What else was in there? Still sitting in the backseat of my truck. I haven't looked at it.
Did you mention the siding level with the stand?
So that was the other thing, and that was kind of the little gem out of this whole thing. I thought there was a metal Stanley number 36 level in there. Now, levels are something that I don't usually pay any attention to because, like, in my standard woodworking, I don't use a level. Like, I just don't use it when I'm hanging up stuff. But like building stuff in the shop, I don't use a level. But there was a metal level in there. And then we started finding all these like little tins, like little old. I mean, they weren't tobacco tins, but kind of, and they had stuff in them. And we're looking at this stuff. It's like, man, this is weird. Like, I don't know what this stuff is. And then all of a sudden, it's like, oh my god, everything slides onto the level. And then the level had this little 4-legged stand that went with it. So it was this entire Stanley. So Stanley sold this. I actually researched it a little bit that night. So the Stanley 36, it's a 24-inch level. It's a machinist level. So it's meant to set up machines. And then they sold these little spotting, let's call it a spotting glass, but more like think of like an old rifle sight kind of, that goes on top of the level, that clamps on the sides. And it's meant to like, what it's meant for is in use with that rotating base that was with the level, is to level stuff in a circle around a room. So think of like what we'd use a modern day laser level for. Like if you were hanging a drop ceiling, for example, that's what this would be used for. So you would mount this level up to wherever, and then you could sight through the things to, get your line of level around a room or a space or whatever. So it was cool. Is there any value in it? I don't know. Heck, I think it was worth the $100 I paid just for that level because I think it's kind of cool. But yeah, it was kind of interesting. Not something I had seen. So I started looking back through some of the Stanley catalogs, and I found the level. I found the sights for it. The sights were sold for 75 cents back in 1936. I don't know what that translates to today. There was another set of clamps in there that fit on one of the folding rules really nicely, but I don't know that that's what they go to. I can't find anything on them. And then there was a few other little accessory type things that I think Phil has a few of them that I was like, I don't need them. So yeah, it was a fun little toolbox purchase that I don't usually just buy the toolbox just for the tools. Usually it's like, I want to buy one or two of the tools out of the case, but when the price is right and the iron's hot, you must strike.
And this episode of the ShopNotes Podcast is sponsored by Grizzly Industrial, purveyors of fine woodworking machinery since 1983. Buy direct and save at grizzly.com. You want a glue that you can trust, and fortunately, Titebond has the glue you need to get the job done with confidence. From interior glues with strong initial tack and short clamp time to exterior glues with exceptional strength and water resistance, look to Titebond, the right glue for your next project. For more information, visit titebond.com. I did like the design of that toolbox because it's one of those drop-sided. It's a style, and I can't remember what the name of it is, like a sight box or something like that. ShopNotes, we did a design similar to that. I'll see if I post the plan link for it. That I thought was really cool and would be a fun project to do, redraw it, because the box itself I think was kind of roached.
Oh yeah, and you can tell it wasn't a very nice one either. Like, I mean, it was plywood and stuff, whatever. Yeah,
and somebody had built it and put it together, and obviously it served its purpose. But the design I think is a cool one to reconsider for a variety of tools and how you would use them. So I'll put a photo of that on the show notes page for that. Yeah, there was a scraper. I'm just looking at a photo that I took.
Oh, yeah. There was a scraper plane. There was one, number 12. Yeah.
Yeah, scraper plane in there. A couple of chisels that needed handles. Handful of auger bits, which I think is federally required in all old toolboxes that you buy.
But the roll was really nice. Like, honestly, the roll was in really good shape. Like, it wasn't like the old, like, waxed canvas type roll. It was like a nice, I mean, it was canvas, like a kind of a burlappy or like a duck canvas style. It was pretty nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Phil found a few crumbs in the toolbox.
Yeah, I'll put some photos on there. I believe ends up being who did we think the manufacturer of this one is?
So the manufacturer on that is the Atoll Machinery Company.
Yeah.
So it was
similar to Starrett, because Starrett is based in Athol as well.
Starrett bought them in 1918, something like that. So Starrett actually bought that company.
Okay. And then I found, I don't even know who the maker is, on a little mortising gauge, the double-ended. So it's got the mortise tips on one side and then the marking gauge cutter on the opposite side, which I got to figure out a way to get that out of there because it's pretty worn down. But it's kind of cool, so you can adjust the size for the mortising tips. And then also on the back side of the fence, there's two little nubbins for being able to follow around curved edges too. So I want to do a little repair work on this one just to bring it up to a little bit better use. But I think there was a cool one in there. Let's see, what else did I see? The little hot dog attachment for a hand plane.
Yeah, I can't find who would have made that. I don't even know if that's what that was. I mean, it fits so nicely. It has to be.
Right.
But it's one of those things where it's like the stained red beach or whatever. You know, like the type of handle like a Defiance hand plane has. It's kind of like that. So it's like not a super high quality one, but it does work.
Yeah. There was a little round sharpening stone in there.
Yeah. Yep.
And then the little scraper with the wheels on it.
Yeah, I don't remember what the name on that one was. I was going to look it up, and it's out in my truck. Yeah, it was a, I don't know that I'm guessing it wasn't carbide being that old, that vintage, maybe. Right. But it had a little square scraper end, but it was like a little, I mean, think of if you just, like, literally if you took a square carbide scraper and screwed it on the front of a Matchbox car. That's exactly what this thing was. Like, it has wheels for guiding it along the surface so you don't gouge it, and a side wheel so you can get into corners. Like, it's pretty sweet. So I'm going to see if I can find a scraper insert to fit that. I mean, it's a rectangular size, which is a little weird, but whatever.
Yeah. So anyway, it's kind of fun. Whenever I go to an antique mall or garage sales or something like that and you see a toolbox, like, you have to open it up and see what's inside just to see, because there's a little picture of whoever owned it for whatever reason, why they kept it. Sometimes they're a time capsule where this was just part of the family and it got handed down and clearly hasn't been used in forever. And other times it's, these are the tools that we used and this is what it looks like. Because there was approximately 2 pounds of just dust in there too.
Oh yeah. And there was a lot of threw a lot of wrenches away, which part of me is like, oh, they're really nice, they're true American made drop forged wrenches, they're good wrenches, but you guys can see the dogs behind me. They're not killing the cat, I promise. The cat is holding his own. I think he's currently under the couch attacking the dogs. They're super nice, but it's I don't need those. What am I going to do with those? So dumped those. Didn't dump any of the auger bits. There was a bunch of Allen wrenches. So I like to know that even back in the 50s, every tool and machinery company sent Allen wrenches with their tools. So those all went in the garbage. We found those blades to that fret saw, but instead of having pins on the end, they had a hoop. So the end had a little loop on them. And I've never seen that before. I don't know who would have manufactured that. I haven't seen a blade like that before. But those are also in the garbage. We threw a whole lot of tetanus away. Let's put it that way.
Right. Which means that right now there are several people screaming into their phones or at their iPads, telling us either what we got wrong about what we were talking about with these tools, or that we should have saved to something or other, or whatever. So if that's you and you have some more information to help us out, that would be great. You can put that in the comment section on the YouTube channel, ShopNotes Podcast, or email woodsmith@woodsmith.com. Attention, Logan Whitmer Toolbox. So anyway, that kind of stuff is always fun.
Yeah. There was a few, oh man, what would I call them? Keyhole saws, I guess, right?
Yeah, the little pistol grip Saturday Night Special.
Yeah, there was one that was a little cast aluminum or something, and it was you put that in your stocking under your lace black dress, and that's your,
keep it in your garter belt.
Saw.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it was branded as the Alway saw.
Yeah.
I see on here on this image. The Ultra Manufacturing Company.
Oh, yeah. And, look at that. There is even a website that says the Alway Tool. It's alwaytool.com. Alwaytools.com. Innovation since 1935. This article is, oh, man. The untold narrative of Alway's handy saw's evolution from local gem to national success.
Okay.
So I'm gonna have to read this. There's this is legit too. I'll send you guys this link.
Okay.
They still make blades for that stupid saw, by the way.
All right.
It's the people that are buying those blades are the same people that are buying the white epoxy roller drawer slides.
And ShopSmiths.
Yeah. There you go.
There we go.
Slinging
Let's
dirt.
Stir up the sediment from the bottom of the pot there.
This is the ShopSmith version of a handsaw.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Another thing that I got on there, I don't have it here with me, was a little gimlet bit for a brace.
Yeah.
Which I think I must have gotten several other ones from you in the past. Is that where those came from? And this one was a little 1/8-inch size one, which if you're not familiar with the gimlet bits for a brace, I think in the smaller sizes, so let's say 1/8 inch up to maybe 3/8 of an inch, I think they actually drill a hole more efficiently than a standard brace auger bit does. And obviously you're not getting a brace auger bit at 1/8 of an inch, but like the 1/4, 5/16, 3/8.
Yeah.
even up a little higher, I think they actually work a little bit better. And they're kind of a fun look to them as well.
Yeah. I don't know how you sharpen them, though.
I found... Is it Shannon Rogers actually did a video on them from like years and years ago?
Makes sense. Was it Big Shannon?
I don't remember.
Before he lost all the weight?
Yeah. And then he had in there about how to sharpen them. So I figured out a way to do that too. And it actually wasn't too difficult with a small little diamond file or something like that. You could
see,
put a nice edge on them.
I was wondering if you could do something kind of like you do with, you could sharpen rasps and files. They basically acid etch them.
Right.
To sharpen them. Like, I was wondering, like, could you do that with, like, gimlet bit? Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure it all has to do with the, like, structure of the metal.
All right, John, here's your weekly update. What do you got going on?
Been working on the TV show. So almost have that bar done. Mm-hmm. So we'll have, I don't know how many bars will we have here then? Just the 2, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because Mark took his home.
A bar project that Mark Hopkins, our shop craftsman, actually originally designed and built for, I think he did it in a rush because they were going to have a pool party at his house.
Yeah.
It was like a tiki bar, wasn't
built
it?
Built and finished in a week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
it seems like
it was a cool design.
I was going to say, anytime somebody's building a personal project in the shop, it's like, hey, we could do that as a magazine project. Let's, double duty this thing. So, but yeah, it's a pretty cool project.
It's how you fall into the PopWood way. It's like every project becomes a magazine project. Womp, womp.
And it's not fun anymore.
Yup.
Yeah, but this one was, it was pretty simple. Plywood, mahogany plywood case and edge banding. I think, were we talking a little bit about it? Because we started on it last week. We got the edge banding on it. So we're kind of to the end. Now we just have to finish Logan's finishing and assemble it.
No, it needs a coat of spray lacquer on the top. That's it. Yeah.
True story.
That's something.
Yeah.
Not nothing. But we got to put all the parts together. Because we have a painted lattice, plywood, decorative lattice for the front, and the mahogany case. And we got to put the legs on it and the top. But it's all pretty much just pocket screwed. So not too bad. It's all there. So
when you got the materials for this project, and you ordered for the top, because you said you ordered.
Yeah, I don't remember what I ordered.
Board
said, I should get like 20 to 30 board feet of 6/4 mahogany for the top. So I figured, get a couple boards in to glue up this little top, and it came in one 13-inch wide, 16-foot board. So it was like toting that thing to the miter saw to break down. I ended up just getting it like halfway and then broke it down with the track saw right there. And so
yeah,
it was interesting.
What I think is interesting is I don't know what flavor of mahogany tree that came from, but I think as it started to grow, it was like what they do with asparagus, where you put the cover over the top of it to blanch it.
Yeah.
Because this was the palest mahogany I've ever seen.
Yeah. I don't know. Do mahogany trees even get like that big? It seems
they do. Big. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Mahogany trees can get very large. But yeah, it was like white as my butt cheek. It was white.
Thank you.
Welcome, everybody. You're welcome.
Yeah.
All right.
Except for Jim.
At least you guys
comment.
Yep. Yes. I'm just seeing if I can get more people to follow Jim out onto the island.
Yep.
There you go. So anyway, we got that episode that we're wrapping up. One thing that was cool on that is the lattice panel on the front that Dylan came up with when he redrew Mark's version. And then in the magazine, we showed how to do it with a router template that you just kind of like tile your way across the panel. Chris did a version on the shop built CNC, which was cool. Mm-hmm. But since the whole panel doesn't fit on our shop CNC, he showed how to do 2 identical panels basically in half. And then he splined them together. And I think was a really cool way to do that. A way to maximize what you could do with a CNC, even though it was relatively small. So, fun to incorporate those kind of things into TV show projects. So anyway, like I said, we have one more episode left to shoot next week. We're going to be doing that one on home office related projects. So, which are the fun episodes, I think, because each one of us kind of picks a project that we'd like to do and presents it in a way that's unique to our own tastes and whatever. So there you go. And Logan is finishing up an issue of Popular Woodworking as we speak.
I sent it off to pre-press before we hit record.
There we go.
Which doesn't mean it's done. I still have to look at proofs.
Right.
But, yeah, it's, I feel like I just did this. Like, this is a never-ending cycle. Like, ship off an issue. Like, whoo, got some breathing room. Let's catch up on the day job. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, God, that has to get done next week. Crap. So, but she's off. It's gone.
All right. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Your reward is to start on the next issue.
I know. I'm going to have to start bugging some of my contributing writers to finish up their copy.
What's the feature project in this issue?
So we got 2 of them. I have that shaker, like, pedestal table.
Oh, yeah.
That one, it's just a good classic project, right? Not like just a good design. That one was kind of my, like, ode to Thomas Mosier and his contributions to the woodworking world. And then the other big one that we have is so we're calling it a dust collection workstation. It is more or less a dust deputy. So if anybody's familiar with like the Oneida dust deputy, it's kind of that cyclonic dust separator that goes in line between your vacuum and your tool. This is designed to be like a workstation around that. So that's housed underneath with a dust collect or with a vacuum, a little bit of storage. That happened to be what I was 3D printing parts for. I printed some little clips to hold like the tubes, like vacuum tubes and stuff. Shelves on the end for storage. Ends up being a pretty high cart. It's an okay height for sanding. I wouldn't want to do much, like, you're not going to do any planing on top of it or anything, but it, for like finishing or stacking parts or stuff, it works really well. And the third is Willie Sandry has a charging cabinet. It's like a wall mounted cabinet to hold all your batteries and chargers and stuff. Kind of a standard upper cabinet build. It just happens to be that he's using it for charging. But we always kind of concentrate on the lower cabinets. Meyer Saw Station was lower cabinets. He did an article a couple of issues ago on shop cabinets, like I'm going to call it a one-wall workshop kind of. And we really concentrate on lower cabinets there as well. So this was a good way to bring in and incorporate uppers. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's it for another episode of the ShopNotes Podcast. Appreciate you listening and tuning into that. Again, if you have any questions, comments, or smart remarks, we want to hear about them. You can send those to Woodsmith at woodsmith.com or leave them on our YouTube channel. Also a reminder, if you're on our mailing list, you should be getting reminders for the upcoming Woodworking in America event that will be this October in Des Moines, Iowa, right here, global headquarters. And we're getting everything all wrapped up with that. So that's kind of cool to be planning that and looking forward to that as well. In July is the AWFS show in Las Vegas, and Logan and I will both be out there for that event, along with several of our colleagues from Woodshop News and Fine Woodworking. So it will be a giant all-star reunion. Yeah, just one.
We have a booth.
Mm-hmm.
We have
and
a
two
booth.
Bars.
We have a booth with a couch.
Okay. All right. There you go. So if you're in the Las Vegas area and want to stop in for that, feel free. Be there to say hey. All right. We'll see you next week, everybody. Bye.
Oh, I was going to say it's everyone's rage and hate that keeps me motivated. It's not even the money anymore.
Right.
It's not the subscription.
You guys have been getting paid?
Yeah. Split it 2 ways.
Rage, hate, you split 2 ways, or